Started 4 years ago when a group of friends we decided we want to produce our own food to be more self-sufficient, and we thought, why not just make a community project, you know, why not invite other volunteers who might be interested. So we decided to do this through Loitra at the end, through our association, and we connected with another group from Ljubljana. There they also have this big garden. Now this 4th year we did something towards that also. So we have a stand in the community space, which you saw, and the plan is to sell the shares from the community garden, because we will probably have a lot of plants, so we would like to offer it to the community. It would be really nice to expand this idea and to also offer in the city community, you know, some kind of workshops on permaculture, on sustainable living, like we were doing here. Like we are gardening, but we also have workshops many times. And we decided to apply a project which today funds 4 employments and actually enabled us to open that community space. Our partner opened a second-hand shop, and we're doing this community gardening within that big project. So every year we invite volunteers to come and join, to learn about nature, to learn about how to grow your own food, how to take care of the plants so they don't die. Sometimes they do. What do we do then? So, you know, it's like yeah, it's like an experiment. What you grow, this is what you get. And for me, community is actually this, like working together, creating together, realizing that there's such a big potential if we cooperate. And we're trying to make this concept even more closer also in Litia to the citizens. That's why we say that it's a community place, what we have, and there we organize events for the sustainable development of the community, because it's different events where people come together, they share ideas, and they also learn about a certain topic or about a certain whatever we do at that time. But then they're invited not just to be visitors, but them to organize something also, or to offer something that they know. So it's like, it's based on exchange, I would say.
Ja, je ta rekel. Moja familija.
His family, his
To
brothers.
so bratje, kako se reče?
His brothers.
Brothers, ja.
They're
Vsi.
all beekeepers. It's in the family.
No, it's rodo,
Generational. It goes from,
Ja.
yeah, it's generational.
Moje mnenje je, preveč je, zdaj je strupu. Vse je, pravijo bio, ampak tu se vse šprica, plevijo, se nečeš na pul, se šprica in to je tisto, ne. Že v zraku je vse to, dima tega dost, in to je strup za čebele.
So he said that the problem is there's a lot of poison, yeah? Now pesticides, he said, they say it's bio, but they spray so many things, and this is really bad for bees. Also the smoke, like in the air, the pollution, and this is what's killing them. And nobody's picking the weeds by hand anymore, they just spray.
Ja, lej, poj pa še, že Pitagora je rekel, da če ne bo čebel, bo človeštvo izumrlo.
Pythagoras said, if there will be no bees, the humanity will be destroyed. Yeah.
Here in Slovenia, a bit more than a year ago, we had a takeover of power. So the extreme right, they got into power. They started to attack the freedom of the media and of course do all neoliberalist type of moves to privatize the environment, to start to attack migrants and so on. Right after the height of the epidemic, we found this way of going with bicycles in the street. We are connecting young people, old people, some more organized like organizations, environmentalists. We have activists from different sides.
Today we are protesting for our right for drinkable water, because Slovenia is actually one of the rare countries that has very clean and very safe water, and the government is trying to ruin it for the purpose of capitalism and getting as much money as possible, which is actually a very usual thing to happen to us. That's why we put the red tapes on the bridge, so to close the river.
I think what's happening now in Slovenia, it's not something completely special. There is a whole movement of this alt-right which is becoming more and more strong, which is sharing information, organizing, supporting each other with money. And you will see this in all countries across Europe happening. That's why also I think our struggle needs to be connected, also not just in your own country, but also supporting other countries. And I think the most important thing is to be active, just to not just sit and watch these things, but connect with your local organization, work locally, make small protests, try to talk to in Slovenia things have gone very far and it's very difficult, but in some other countries I think maybe it's easier to make some change, organize some protest, make some action.
But also some sort of artistic actions, like things that bring shock to people, that bring shock to the media, that get people to talk about the actual issues. And stuff like that. I think if you need to be creative and think about different aspects of things, to do things that haven't been done in the protesting manner before.
Yeah, totally. Thank you very much for all this meeting. Like, the main thing is absolutely the face cam, and then like the road to all the contacts we have. I'm really sorry for the connection and everything again. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Bye guys and girls. Bye.
farmers, what they are using that use actually CO2 emission. Fertilizers, also. Fossil fuels. So it's here.
Yes.
Try to guess what carbon sinks are. There is ocean, atmosphere, and photosynthesis. Just trying to say something, and probably it's a card here.
We are here today because we have a very important first meeting of our network to discuss about what's going to happen and what we are going to do here in Italy this summer with all the G20s meetings and then the pre-COP in Milan. And so we are deciding our actions, we are deciding our plans, we are discussing, of course, the climate crisis. And we are also discussing our relationships all around the globe. We had some people speaking from Argentina, from Germany, part of the Ende Gelände movement, and Shell Must Fall. We do have some really important links with other countries, but we are here today, to discuss and to unite our actions against this, fossil criminals like Eni, and against all the institutions that support the climate crisis.
Io sono Sabina e sono una studentessa e faccio parte del collettivo di ecologia politica ormai da 2 anni. L'ecologia politica quindi è proprio una teoria, cioè nel senso noi appunto dei collettivi ci basiamo molto su questa teoria, poi la applichiamo nei territori e appunto la facciamo conoscere. E diciamo che un po' la novità di questa teoria è proprio il fatto di essere intersezionale, nel senso diciamo che il collegamento centrale è proprio cercare di interconnettere le varie lotte, quindi quella per la giustizia climatica, ecologica, la lotta contro il patriarcato e appunto contro l'antirazzismo e appunto il colonialismo. Infatti in questo senso c'è una critica forte che appunto pone questa teoria proprio al modo di produzione capitalistico e appunto estrattivista che comunque sfrutta i territori e i corpi. E infatti in questo senso c'è una forte connessione tra appunto sfruttamento di corpi e sfruttamento dei territori e appunto appropriazione di lavoro gratuito da parte delle donne, appunto di cui il capitale si appropria, e in questo senso però anche sfruttamento della natura e di riproduzione della natura attingendo a essa come se fosse sempre gratuita e infinita. Sappiamo che quando appunto avviene una cosa di questo tipo c'è proprio anche un discorso teorico alla base che lo sostiene, no? E quindi in questo senso c'è stata proprio una sorta di naturalizzazione anche di ruoli, proprio di genere, in cui appunto si è fatto credere che alcuni ruoli intesi proprio come biologici e naturali. Il lavoro importante secondo me, secondo noi, è quello sicuramente intanto di smascherare questa cosa, cioè di decostruire questa sorta di costruzione sociale, dire non è un discorso naturale, biologico, ma è una costruzione sociale.
Tu vas voir tes copains, Arthur?
I am Alessandro Di Donna and I work as an agricultural designer, you can say, agroecological, in projects related to the farms of Cascinet, the social enterprise. We started in 2016 with the food forest, and now we have 30 people engaged that are taking care of this 6,000 square meters area. We are now working on 2 different places. The one is the land that is related to the farm, that is in the east part of the city, and another place that is 10 hectares of fields, agricultural fields, land that the municipality gave us for 30 years. For us, syntropic farming is a tool to regenerate lands and also regenerate communities and create ecological transition in terms of culture. Because we think that we need an ecological transition that is related to a cultural transition. So we want to engage the people to learn on how to do it, and then to see the result, to see that they can do it. They can really do it, and they can change the face of an entire area that is an area where now it's abandoned and there is trash and there are so many problems. But the community can do this, and also we can create a new economy, new socio-economical model that supports these new forms of producing food.
Moi j'ai je suis chaud de faire du stade avec une arme chaude.
Début.
Ouais.
We are here to prevent the logging. The State Forestry got 10 years plans, which are saying in which area and how much wood there's going to be taken away from this site. And we are in a mountainside in Bieszczady. We are also really close to the Bieszczadzki National Park. And this forest is a natural forest, which was not planted by humans. But the State Forestry decided to log here and destroy this beautiful place, which should be protected. There is a lot of endangered species of lichen, mouse. There is also living here like the biggest predators in Poland, like wolves, bear, lynx, wildcats. So this is their home, and we're gonna protect it. No matter what, we're gonna stay here until they're gonna leave this place alone.
I'm a person from the forest, and I live in a forest for most of my life, and forest is very important to me. And I actually live downstream from Bieszczady, so I am directly impacted by what's going on in this forest.
This is a place that is on the border of the national park, and the animals don't get borders, so they are walking around here as well as in the national park, and we want to extend the national park.
So here we are blockading the road. So this special natural Carpathian forest is planned to be cut stays here with us and with the society that really wants it to stay that way.
So the forest lobby is like very strong in Poland, and also like the government, like they are like climate denialists, like they do not believe in climate change. Like, and also like a church, a Christian church got a big of influence for the politics in our country.
They don't want people to question why they do what they do, so they present the vision of the world where, like, if people don't intervene, the forest would not grow. If they won't cut a tree and make a place for the new one, the forest will die out. And it's a very funny vision, because we know for a fact that forests are a little bit older than state forestry.
It's hard to empathize to each other because we have such a different way of being. Here we can communicate a lot to each other when we do something that is harming the other person, and not react in a defense way, but listen to the person and actually see their emotions and react on them.
We value the pronouns of the people. We try to not to make assumptions about people's abilities and beliefs due to their birth, gender, or to their age, to other qualities they have.
So we are supported by many ecological organizations, and there are also quite some people from the area who see the value of the forest and support our fight to protect it.
And ask yourself questions: what brings me the most joy as fighting for my rights or for others' rights, and not in an egoistic way follow what you want, but in a way of reclaiming what a lot of people took from you. So the joy of learning, the joy of being with others and not being judged by others, the joy of doing activism. I feel like if we do it with joy and with love, we can accomplish a lot more, and we can understand each other more, and then we can actually achieve the better world we are looking for.
Mesdames, Messieurs, nous vous prions d'excuser un drame musical en 4 actes.
My experience here was the reason why I started to study biology, because the wildlife here was such impressive for me. And now I'm working inside of the protection park of the Bieszczady fauna. The people can come here, see the animals like in a zoo, but the animals spend their life in captivity. But no, because we want that they spend the life in a captivity like in a traditional zoo, they are just not able to spend the life in nature, in wild, because they will die. Yeah? So when the people came here, we can tell them why is nature conservation so important. We want to combine rescue center, the zoo, and education. And I think this is the innovative idea that we have here in this park. I think the most important thing is education. It's much more interesting to wake up in children the idea that we are part of the nature, and everything in the nature influences us. Activism is good to make a loud noise. And it's necessary just to say when you have the feeling in yourself that something is going wrong, you have also the knowledge about the topic which you are interested in. I think the most interesting thing is when you combine this. So the knowledge of the scientists and the peoples who want to do something. I think each activism is necessary.
I'm talking about the blue. Now you talking about monkey jump, and it consisted between male and female.
Climate justice!
Wir sind laut, weil wir uns die Zukunft. Beispielsweise für Deutsche Wohnen und Co. enteignen, die sind gerade in ihrer Endphase.
Today I was the moderator here at the demonstration. I'm really excited because a lot of people came and we had an amazing vibe going on and everyone was so motivated. The climate crisis is a global issue, so that's why Fridays for Future has groups in a lot of different countries all over the world. We have to make our voices heard, be active, pressure the politicians, make good decisions to stay on the path to the Paris Agreement and to 1.5 degrees. So yes, I think that's why we're so motivated. Of course, we have a lot of people that are against our fight for climate justice, but in recent surveys we saw that over 60% of the population say climate, nature, ecology are the most important topics for this election for them. So I think most of the population supports the fight for climate justice and the fight against climate change. So for anyone who wants to support our cause, you can come to our demonstration. Just grab your friends and we will support you, and we hope you will support us.
Never return.
My name is Werner and I live here in Uferfabrik. We live here with 35 people. In former time it was a film factory, and here they produced the films of Metropolis, The Blue Angel, and all these stuffs were produced here. We occupied it in 1979 and built up a new life in this area. We have a big culture center who has international networks. We have a big neighborhood center. We have a cafe, we have a bakery, we have a guest house, a free school, and all this stuff. And it's like a little city in a big city, a little village in a big city. I'm very happy to be here and to do such nice things. For example, here we have solar energy on the roofs everywhere here, and it was at that time in the 19th the biggest solar place in Berlin. We use the green roofs for climatization, our place here. We calculate about 7 kilowatt hours cooling energy for 1 square meter green roof. The green roofs store about 70% of the rainwater a year. So this is very nice to bring the normal agriculture to the roof. Normally on the roof is nothing, not even a green roof. So we want to integrate the green roof in our life. And when you sit here at night with a blanket and a glass of wine, it's perfect in the middle of the biggest city in Germany. Later I measured that the solar panels give more energy when there are flowers down under, plants down under, because the plants cool the solar system and the solar system produces more energy. It's not much, 2% or something like this. And on the other hand, down under, you see it here, down under the solar panels, the plants could better grow because some times in a day they have shadow. So it's a win-win system. And then you can build straw bale building the same size and live 35 years inside with heating, with everything. And then you have the same CO2 like the commercial house that just is built. So this is a frame with the straw bales in. So it's very simple. I built it with students. Our house, our straw bale building here is on wheels, standing on wheels, 9 points. And we did it because the German rules say houses on wheels need not a permission. They don't say if the wheels are in this direction or in this direction. So here behind me you see the rainwater harvesting system. We collect all the rainwater that fall. Their microorganism filter and bring the waste into minerals. The plants use the minerals to grow, so it's a very nice cycle. So we can save about 2 million liters of drinking water and use rainwater for the toilets and for the beets and so on. A change always is possible. And I think the most important thing is to find circles, to use waste, because we human beings are the only livings that make waste. The nature don't know waste. The animals, the flowers, the trees, the woods, and so they don't know the meaning of waste. They don't produce waste because everything is in a circle. And we have to think about how we can make more circles to make our life more sustainable.
High five.
Eh ben on y va?
Moi je sais pas ouvrir. Ok, je suis. Non?
Ça va être dur aussi.
C'est quoi? Tiens, prends mon truc. Ouais. Ouais. Tu m'aides? Je réessaye? Ok. Je vais continuer ici. Il y a nos contacts en bas pour vous expliquer.
Non, non, non. Hé, ne rigole pas, vous descendez.
Il y a nos contacts qui vont vous expliquer.
Là, en fait, c'est parti ici.
sur le vitre. Voilà. Non.
Il y a les autres activistes qui font la course.
Allez. Une.
Ok, mais du coup, c'est quoi votre plan pour remonter?
Voilà, moi c'est prêt.
Il y a quelqu'un qui valide, on va quand on va descendre.
C'est la police. Ça permet.
Pour l'avenir de notre région puisse se faire en toute connaissance de cause. Alors qu'on aimerait pouvoir se dire qu'on va produire localement, eh bien, au lieu de ça, nous allons artificialiser 380 000 m² de terres agricoles. Toutes les 3 minutes, entre minuit et 1h, et entre 4h et 6h du matin, au-dessus de Liège.
Je m'appelle Pauline, je viens d'un groupe affinitaire de grimpe et alors on offre nos services de grimpeurs pour des groupes qui défendent des causes sociales ou écologiques. Ici c'était pour le collectif Stop Alibaba à Liège qui s'oppose à l'extension de l'aéroport de Liège pour accueillir Alibaba. Voilà, pour des raisons de destruction d'emplois locaux, pour des emplois aliénants, pour des questions climatiques, d'augmentation de gaz à effet de serre.
Le commerce local, c'est l'avenir. Alors, dans quoi est-ce qu'on veut investir? L'aéroport et l'extension de l'aéroport et Alibaba et les carambolades, c'est aussi plus de particules fines dans nos tartines.
Moi, ce qui me choque avec Alibaba, c'est vraiment comme pas du tout le monde qu'il nous faut pour demain, post-Covid. C'est des énormes multinationales qui ont déjà beaucoup trop de fric, qui font des milliards d'évasions fiscales. Soi-disant, ça va créer des emplois, mais des emplois super aliénants, contrôlés par une caméra, et à l'inverse, ça détruit des emplois locaux. Donc.
Mon nom c'est Alexia, je fais partie du collectif Stop Alibaba & Co, qui est un collectif composé de plusieurs organisations, Greenpeace, Extinction Rebellion et d'autres. Qui lutte contre l'arrivée d'Alibaba à l'aéroport de Liège et aussi contre l'extension de l'aéroport de Liège de manière générale. Évidemment, il y aura un gros impact climat puisqu'il va y avoir une augmentation considérable du nombre de vols, notamment pendant la nuit, parce que c'est le seul aéroport européen qui permet les vols de nuit. On estime que l'aéroport émettra autant de CO2 que toute la région wallonne d'ici 2050.
De manière générale, moi j'ai aussi un peu envie de démystifier la capacité de s'engager, qu'on se dise en fait il y a moyen, en fait ça peut être super fun. Après il y a du stress, mais c'est aussi chouette, on dépasse un peu nos limites.
Je m'appelle Emmanuel Kujewski, je travaille pour le groupe de Verts au Parlement européen. Mon travail vise à lancer des campagnes en direction du public, pour la plupart, afin de faire pression sur le Parlement européen, sur les députés et les autres groupes, dans un mouvement commun avec le mouvement climat justement, afin que le groupe Vert remporte des victoires en termes législatifs. on soutient un objectif qui fait partie de ce qu'on appelle le Green Deal et qui est un objectif de réduction de 50% d'usage des pesticides.
Je suis conseiller politique de Philippe Lamberts, qui est coprésident du groupe des Verts au Parlement européen. Je travaille sur le revenu de base et le revenu de base à l'échelle européenne. Chez les Verts, il y a une dimension proche de l'action, de désobéissance civile, etc., qui est quand même qui fait un peu partie des fondamentaux aussi de l'émergence de ce mouvement. Il n'y a pas d'antagonisme évidemment entre ce qu'on peut faire au niveau individuel et ce qu'on peut faire au niveau macro par de la régulation. Mais quand on sait, je crois que c'est 100 multinationales qui font plus de 70% des émissions de gaz à effet de serre au niveau mondial, on sait où est le levier. C'est celui de la décision politique, c'est celui de la régulation. Ça arrange bien les grandes entreprises d'avoir un discours qui place la responsabilité sur l'individu et qui est en fait pour moi aussi une certaine prolongation du discours néolibéral. On ne résoudra pas un problème en disant à chacun prends une douche plus courte. On résoudra un problème lorsque les grandes multinationales et l'investissement public qu'on met seront organisés de la façon adéquate.
On pèse que 10% des suffrages dans l'hémicycle, mais on arrive à remporter tout un tas de petites victoires qui impactent clairement la vie des gens à travers la loi.
Le fait qu'on ait un momentum maintenant et qu'on pèse plus qu'avant, c'est aussi lié au fait qu'il y a eu des mouvements climat qui ont mis vraiment ça à l'agenda et que la présidente de la commission est arrivée et a dit « Moi, le cœur de ma politique, ce sera le Green Deal ».
C'est sûr que tout compromis n'est pas bon. Le mouvement climat sur ces questions est extrêmement utile parce qu'en fait, on a besoin aussi que ces jeunes nous mettent des coups de fouet pour nous rappeler aussi parfois que nous sommes leur voix et qu'ils ont besoin, elles et ils ont besoin que nous soyons ambitieux.
Il y a une autre asso qui vient demain, donc on essaie de se partager un peu.
Qui est né pendant le confinement où avant à la serre il y avait des tables d'hôtes, récupérer des invendus et en cuisiner, c'était à prix libre le soir. C'était trop chouette. Et en octobre, deuxième vague de Covid, on s'est dit il y en a marre, cette cuisine elle n'est pas utilisée, on a les invendus, on a les bénévoles, enfin, il faut faire quelque chose et que ça soit utile. Et finalement on a monté cet atelier cuisine solidaire avec Kim, on a commencé par faire de la soupe. Je fais partie de l'ASBL Comuna et le but de l'ASBL c'est de transformer le fait qu'il y a des bâtiments vides en opportunités pour faire du logement ou accueillir des projets à finalité sociale et des projets qui sont autour de l'alimentation, de la réparation, de l'aide à la personne. Donc il y a 8 artistes qui se partagent un espace pour travailler. En face derrière moi là il y a 4 unités de logement et dans le hangar, en gros, tu as des initiatives autour de l'alimentation, du réemploi et de la programmation socioculturelle qui se partagent l'espace. Et il y a une ASBL qui est là depuis des années sur la place, pas loin, qui propose de faire le linge des sans-abri. Il y a une autre ASBL qui a des douches dans son camion. Du coup, on s'est greffé à leur initiative pour proposer de la soupe. Et de ça est né un truc vachement organisé maintenant, où il y a de la soupe, des plats, des desserts. Il y avait parfois une fripe solidaire qui se greffe à ça, donc il y a des vêtements, donc les gens ils se lavent, ils font leur linge, ils prennent des vêtements, ils mangent. Il y a parfois une bibliothèque roulante.
Alors je m'appelle Sébastien, je suis un ancien de la rue, un ancien SDF. Et donc Bulle en fait représente un petit village de soutien pour les gens de la rue, pour des gens qui essaient de relier un lien social avec les gens parce que c'est assez compliqué dans la rue, c'est qu'il y a une grande pauvreté morale et émotionnelle, je pense, les gens se sentent très seuls. Et en fait, on partage un lien social, il y a assez de nourriture pour tout le monde, c'est juste qu'on aime bien gaspiller aussi dans un côté, et qu'avec ce gaspillage, on pourrait tellement nourrir tellement de gens dans le monde entier. Juste nous, on fait pas attention, on se réveille pas, on est hypnotisé, on se laisse endormir par tout ce qui se passe. Or qu'on a tous les trônes du pouvoir, mais on préfère prendre le mouchoir et pleurer que de prendre le trône du pouvoir et d'avancer ensemble et de se battre pour la même cause qui est la cause humanitaire.
Je mérite ces vacances, mais ça vient de quelque part, cette réflexion de I deserve it, tu vois, genre truc individuel, tu vois, genre c'est pour moi, ça me fait plaisir à moi, sans penser à l'impact que ça a. Peut-être qu'en fait tu pourrais utiliser ce temps, cet argent autrement avec d'autres, le partage il est plus fat. Mais ce qui est frustrant, c'est le rythme des autres, où parfois ça va pas assez vite. J'étais très rentre dedans à un moment, très, très en colère, et du coup tu as envie de dire aux gens qui ont des comportements que tu n'approuves pas, dire mais non, mais c'est... Et en fait ça bloque, ça crée encore plus un blocage. C'est en faisant, toi, et en sachant que c'est ok, que tu es droit dans tes bottes, tu sais pourquoi tu le fais, que les autres l'adoptent en fait. Et moi je le vois pour plein de trucs où je suis là genre... C'est parce que c'est dans mon visuel, c'est parce que c'est autour de moi que ça va me paraître plus normal, et ça fait son petit bout de chemin. Et j'aime bien, tu vois, l'expression en anglais qui dit to hammer an idea, tu vois, un coup de marteau. Et ben, il y a marteler une idée, c'est pas très joli, enfin, je sais pas. Et je montre à ta caméra que tu fais ça, parce que je te vois pas. Je vais descendre parce que du coup, on va faire une récup dans les magasins bio de la rue d'à côté.
Fini les mises en scène, que les semeurs de haine se noient dans le puits, s'enterrent. Un grand écart avant que le pire s'opère. Faut décoller, faire le grand saut, accorder nos cœurs en écho. Tu le sens l'amour dans l'air. Ce soir, c'est l'heure de changer d'air. Fini les larmes, fini les pleurs. Il faudra s'y mettre à plusieurs. Ne plus rester seul et se taire. Que les graines semées cet hiver, dans cette ambiance de drame, dans le silence de nos larmes, s'immiscent sur cette immense sphère. Car ce soir, c'est l'heure de changer d'air. Fini d'hésiter sur le chemin. Ce n'est pas qu'une parenthèse sur le lendemain. L'humain n'est qu'une part du mystère. Épouser l'âme et la matière, pour que notre planète épuisée puisse en paix se régénérer. N'aie pas peur, laisse donc le frisson se faire. Car ce soir, c'est l'heure de changer d'air.